how can people determine whether it's the animal has been grain finished? How does that have to be on the label? It should be on the label.
Somewhere on there. And you don't need to get totally obsessive on this, but our whole food supply has been shifted in its compositions. And so what you can do, you can't fight everything. And so what you can do is kind of selectively choose where you are when you're physically adding your own oils into your diet, okay? Like from cooking or from salad dressings. At least at that point in time, you can really carefully choose to kind of go overboard on the other direction. Okay, you really want to make sure that those are low linoleic acid. And there's some pretty good sources. So this technology, they're like, for example, sunflower oil, right? Typically had really, really high levels of omega-6. But someone bred varieties of sunflower oil many years ago that's called high oleic acid sunflower oil. It's over 80% oleic acid.
That omega-9, right?
Exactly. And so that is, from a cooking oil perspective, has really nice smoke point. Avocado oil is another really good cooking oil. It's mostly omega-9. It's got a little bit of omega-6 and other saturated fats in it, and olive oil. So those are your three big ones.
If you want to avoid omega-6, you don't want the linoleic acid. You want to find the sunflower oil that has the higher oleic acid. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that'll give you the omega-9.
That'll give you the omega-9. And then if you want to enforce your omega-3 content, then get that from your meat supplies. Like make sure you have your marine, fatty salmon, that type of thing. So you can get your omega-3s from that perspective.
And this is where olive oil comes in, right? Olive oil will give you omega-3.
Mostly omega-9.
Omega-9.
Omega-9. Yeah.
And this is where I think there is a lot of confusion, because we've been hearing for a long time that olive oil is a good oil to cook with, and there's extra virgin oil is the better type to get. But then you also don't know necessarily if it's the right extra virgin olive oil. How do we know which kind of olive oil to cook with?
So olive oil, the lighter versions, the cleaner or the clearer, the more clarified it is, the better it will be at cooking, because you'll actually have less of those vitamins that you're looking for from the olive, but those are the ones that burn up when you're cooking. So you want the pure version for cooking, for exposure to heat. And as a general rule, I tell people, for your own culinary taste, like eat what you like, obviously, in certain moderations. But from an oil perspective, from a cooking or food supply, I don't consider those oils sources of essential nutrients and vitamins. It's a source of fat, okay? And you want to have good quality fat in that. Get your other vitamins from meat products or other. I wouldn't get obsessed about trying to find the oil with the best, vitamin sources. Pick the oil that you like from, mix it in, be conscientious of things. But from an actual, food composition perspective, that's one area in your everyday life that you can try to adjust the balance of your omega-6, omega-3 environment, because we're basically bombarded with omega-6. You can't escape it. It's in everything.
As far as oil goes, you want to use that to kind of adjust your balance of these, omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. The less junk in it, by way of vitamins, well, I shouldn't say junk, but the less that's in it, the least opportunity for oxidization, for these things to be burned up in the cooking, and the less harm, basically. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you're cooking, you want the most clarified version of the oil, the most clarified version of avocado oil, the most clarified version of, say, a high oleic acid sunflower oil, or a clarified version of olive oil. But if you're mixing it into your salad dressing and it's low temperature, then by all means, take a crude version that is acceptable to your taste. If you like the taste of it, then the cruder versions they're totally fine for your salads and mixing in with things. And the other thing people have to think about, the other part we were going to talk about, is all these artificial milks in the industry. I think that's another area of confusion for people, because they don't, we call things milk when they're not really milk. They're juices, or they're what we call emulsifiable concentrates. And you have to kind of look at how all those milks are being made. And they're all derived from, human milk or cow's milk or like what a mammal would make milk from. So the mammary glands of a mammal creates very, very small fat globules, and they are dispersed in water essentially. And that's what gives milk the milky white color, is it's fat dispersed. And if you break the particles up small enough, they'll stay suspended in the liquid and you get a nice creamy milk texture. So the concept of milk is having fat dispersed in water. That's essentially what milk is. But in order to do that, you either need to use expensive, intense equipment like these homogenizers, or you need to use, sometimes they use these gums, or they'll use lecithin, like sunflower lecithin, these phosphatidylcholines, and they create this dispersion. So, and then part of that again is how to make a product that you can put on the shelf, that'll last on the shelf, that'll give people satisfying, because you don't want to go to the supermarket shelf, pick up a bottle of oat milk or a bottle of soy milk and have a layer of soy oil at the bottom and a bunch of water on top. Like, no one's going to buy that stuff, right? And so they have to find a way. It has to look like milk, right? And taste or feel like milk, right? At least it's not really the taste, it's the mouthfeel. And that's why if you drink homogenized milk versus skim milk, you'll notice, wow, one tastes nice and creamy and one tastes like water, right? And so, people, eating is not just nutrition. Eating is still enjoyable. So you have to find products that people are going to accept in their
It's
diet.
texture, taste, so what it looks
Exactly.
like, right?
Yeah, and how you can blend it and how you can cook it with other things. Coconut milk is another really good one that you can do a lot of mixing and cooking with, and it's got a really good high quality saturated fat index, like short chain fatty acids, and so coconut oil and coconut milk, and you can get really good quality coconut milk out there. There's just basically pure coconut and water. It's one of the, if you're looking for long-term storage products, if you look in the aisles for your coconut milk, you can find nice quality coconut products out there as well.
And it's a good cooking solution as well, I've heard, is
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess alongside avocado oil and the right types of olive oil.
Exactly. And you think about it, any oil that comes from a pulp versus a seed is typically good for you. Like, so even a palm oil, okay, or a coconut oil or an avocado oil or an olive oil, none of those come from a hard seed. Okay, in order to get like those seed oils, they're protected by the seed coat, and the plant is making those oils for itself, for the future germination of that plant, right? And for us to get in there and extract that out of the seed, okay, we have to do a lot of work. We got to grind it, we got to mill it, we got to usually seep it to try to break it apart from its internal cavities, and obviously a lot of these oils are solvent extracted, right? A lot of these oils only came into production in parallel with the petroleum industry, and so it wasn't until we really had hexanes or these petroleum-based solvents that we could then extract the oil out of these seed oils, because otherwise you had no way of getting them.
Which is a little ominous if we're talking about something we're going to be eating and you consider that the technology is derived from the oil industry.
Correct. And it's like some of the petroleum products, and like you got to be careful, but they're not super, super dangerous for the most part. Like, and most of them you get rid of them. I think these long-term, obviously you don't want hexane in your final product, but typically they're it's not, I don't think that's the biggest problem in the industry, to be honest with you. But it's been overused for sure.